Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us. Tonight, we're focused on the brutal killing of 16 Nigerian military men killed by youths in Delta State. And for proper insights into this discussion, I've been speaking with defense, security and counterterrorism experts and former spokesman, Nigerian Air Force Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu, retired. Group Captain, if you can hear me, before we went on that break, I wanted to know if you're concerned that the military may take the law into their hands as a result of this brutal killing. But I want us to dwell on this for a minute. In your years of service, do you think the military engages in what some have called selective vengeful attacks?
Selective what, please?
Selective vengeful attacks.
Well, now, like I said, when such things happen, especially in this kind of a communal conflict where I find that it's people living side by side, but of different ethnic going, for the professional military man, his job is to protect the citizens. His job is to ensure that lives and property are not lost. It is not his job to look at ethnic or religious or regional sentiment. It is for that same reason any unit of the military that you see is composed of different ethnic groups of different faiths. So for the soldier or the officer that is sent, his own is just to ensure that law and order is protected. He will deliver justice wherever it falls. But Nigerians being what we are, whenever there's such a communal conflict, there are always this side will say it's on, this side will say it's on. But I want to believe a well-trained officer leading his men will not be lured by this kind of divisions. All he will see, his orders are very clear to ensure that justice is done and peace and order is done. So, in my own experience, it is very difficult. And to be honest with you, like I said, the mere composition of a military, the smallest military is a section of 10 or 11 men. You cannot find all the 10 people or 11 men of the same ethnic group or of the same discipline.
That's correct.
Also, for the same reason, that is also even a safety valve in any military unit. Because again, the military is an organization of human beings. There are people that despite terrain or anything, they can stray. But the safety valve is that if you take any side in any decision, the same people within your unit will report you back. Because you must have taken a side either based on identity, with one kind of identity or the other. So that safety valve in the composition of a military unit, it makes it very difficult, no matter how bigoted you are. With due respect, honest, I always something about military service. We all have our identities. We all have our bigotry to certain level or not. But serving in the military, no matter how bigoted you are, it will reduce your bigotry quotient. You will either become less or it will eliminate it all over. Because you will find that the work that is required to be done is not based on identity.
But while we continue to ask that the military deal with this issue in the most decent manner so that innocent lives are not lost, how do we ensure that this never happens again? Because I can tell you that there are some irate youths waiting to see how this is handled.
How do we ensure that...
Did you get that, Group Captain? So I said, while we continue to ask...
I didn't get your last question, please.
Right. So while we continue to ask that the military deal with this issue in the most decent manner so that innocent lives are not lost, how do we ensure this never happens again?
Well, when you say this never happens again, now everybody has a stake to play. The communities, the elders, wherever they are, not only in the Niger Delta, they should caution their restless youth or any members of the community who might want to take on any security agent that is posted to that area. I think we should hold our children and our youth responsible and also explain that to them. On the other hand, for the military, like I said, there are a lot of lessons. There are a lot of lessons for the military concerning this operation. I may not go into details, but obviously there are a lot of lessons that the military. So the military, not only in finding the perpetrator, the military will also have to go and check back. How do we do our deployment? Do we put enough, enough numbers commensurate with the threat? But of course, the answer is very simple. We have said it times without number, that the number of military personnel we have in Nigeria is too far inadequate, to cater for the problem. You do not hear everything. If for 1 year, 2 years, 3 months, nothing happens. But it is for incidents like this that will expose that debate about the need to deploy numbers. When you say you have a battalion, I expect, like I said, I expect about 700, 800 officers are meant to be in that area. Now, playing it backwards, have this commander gone with even 100 or 200 people? I do not think that those people have overpowered them. The teaching in the Nigerian military is that when you are going to an attack, you estimate the number of the resistance you are going to get, and then you multiply it by 3. It is not for it is not for nothing that this is taught. But where the elements are not there, because I still wonder, like I said, where a lieutenant colonel who is supposed to have someone already proved first time, because the first team has been taken. So when you are going
Group Captain, but do you agree with those who argue that the military should not have been drafted into internal security matters, especially communal crisis, and that this is the responsibility of the police?
A very good point there again. Again, is part of the security sector reform that we are saying. When you say security sector reform, is because you have a disorganized security sector where there is a duplicity, where there is multiplication, where there is overlap of function. Once you have that, you have to very going to have problems. Yes, I am also joining this call for why should even the military be involved in a criminal clash. But again, it's another follow-up question. Where were the police in that area? Where were the civil defense in that area?
Group Captain, your network seems to be very unstable. If you can hear me, please go ahead with your contribution. Group Captain, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. We lost you for a minute. Please go ahead.
Okay, you cannot do that unless you have a strengthened police force that will take over that. But even in this incident, I have read elsewhere, I was not there, that police were called, they didn't go. Civil defense were called. The same distress call that was sent to the military, from my own findings, I could be proven wrong, the police received the same distress call, they didn't react. Civil defense received the same call, they didn't react. It is the military which shouldn't have been there that reacted. So again, in this investigation, I hope also this issue will be because I don't want to believe that there are no police or civil defense in that area. Why didn't they go? It's one of the areas that the investigation will look into.
But some of your colleagues are now calling for the Nigerian military to redefine its professional ethics.
Well, the teaching of ethics is an ongoing thing. But again, it shouldn't be a one-off thing. I was part of a committee that did security sector reform. Teaching of ethics, regimentation, and military tradition is one of the issues that was given a strong recommendation in that report. So again, like I said, it is not a one-off thing. Human beings tend to forget. There are items that you have to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. Definitely, I will also.
Good Captain. Group Captain, if you can hear me, I would like us to expand this conversation. But before then, this whole scenario, what does this say about the way how some Nigerians perceive our security personnel?
How do Nigerians see our military personnel?
Yes, perceive our security personnel.
Well, it is. I have to be very honest with you. It is a variegated picture. When you go to communities that were, ravaged by insurgency, by insecurity, and the military was able to get them a reprieve, of course we have glowing pictures about the military. But again, where some communities also are on this.
Captain, are you there? Captain, if you can hear me.
Any military action, either as a result of misunderstanding or as a result of some bad behavior from members of the community in the whole of the Nigerian military. Now, all the services have departmentation, even within the military, that they need to create a good relationship with the civilians, with the communities where they are serving. But it is an ongoing thing. There is nothing that cannot be improved. Good things are being done, but we still need to improve because the military derives its legitimacy from the citizens. Why you have the citizens being against the military, that will lead to even
Good Captain, let's expand this conversation by first talking about the kind of weapons these militias move around with, bringing to the fore the proliferation of light weapons and illicit arms trafficking in Nigeria. This continues to pose a major threat to peace, security, and development in the country. But before you answer that question, let's go on this break, and I will be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Retired Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu is still with me on the program. Group Captain, like I said before we went on that break, I want us to expand this conversation by first talking about the kind of weapons these militias move around with, bringing to the fore the proliferation of light weapons and illicit arms trafficking in Nigeria. You and I know this continues to pose a major threat to peace, security, and development in the country. How do we address this problem? Group Captain, can you hear me? Did you get my question?
I can't hear you well, friendly, very friendly.
Right, so let me repeat my question. This is about also expanding this conversation. And I want us to talk about the kind of weapons this militias move. Can you hear me, Group Captain?
I can hear you, but very friendly. I can hear you now.
All right, let me increase my voice a bit. I want us to expand this conversation by talking about the kind of weapons this militias move around with. This brings to the fore the proliferation of light weapons and illicit arms trafficking in Nigeria. We all know that this is a major problem in this country. It poses a major threat to peace, security, and development in the country. So I'm asking, how do we address this problem? Group Captain, are you there? All right, let's take some stories. The National Bureau of Statistics has challenged the federal government to formulate policies that will address youth unemployment in the country. At a sensitization workshop on the outcome of a recent survey on labor statistics in Nigeria, the Bureau says transforming Nigeria from an informal to a formal economy is key to addressing rising poverty level. TVC Adisa reports.
The National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's unemployment rate now stands at 5% from 33%. The February 2024 report pegs the employment to population ratio at 75.6% in Q3 of 2023, with a decrease of 1.5% compared to Q2 ratio. It also found out that Nigeria is more of an informal economy, and this needs to be reversed. Using a new global methodology adopted by the International Conference on Labor Statisticians, the agency brings academia, government and private sector to a roundtable on how to use the latest data to bring about policies that will transform the nation's labor statistics.
I put on my private sector development cap, and I was not thinking about the unemployment number. I was thinking about productivity, and I was thinking how productive is Nigeria.
The problem of skill mismatch, you have a PhD, for example, but because you couldn't find a job, you are doing something.
We need to adjust our list of indicators to decent work, because decent work goes beyond our standard statistics.
Organizers of this one-day workshop say with a population of over 200 million people, Nigeria faces unique challenges and opportunities in realizing the full potential of its human capital. They say there is the urgent need to address the high unemployment rate among youths aged between 25 and 34.
Unemployment was at 33%, but the change in methodology now made it to drop to 5%. And it has been very contentious. People argue that, the way Nigeria is going, with poverty increasing, why would unemployment fall? But this is just, a change in methodology to meet the international standards.
A lot of Nigerians are engaged in informal employment. The country wants to be able to have formal employment for our citizens. If we don't have this figure, how do we know that all the employment that we are talking about are mostly in the informal sector?
The challenge thrown at the government and the private sector at this event is to prioritize skill acquisition for Nigeria to move from an informal to a more desired formal economy. Joke Edsa, TVC News, Abuja.
In a bid to ensure a robust economic growth, Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, is meeting with multinational firms. This effort has so far yielded an investment portfolio worth a massive $2.5 billion, which after completion will create jobs, boost the economic profile, as well as open up the southeast to the world. The report.
Last year, the Imo State government flagged off the dredging of the Orashi River to the Atlantic Ocean to boost the economic fortune of the state. The project, which is there to the governor, is believed to bring in industrial revolution of the southeast region when completed, as it has secured an oil and gas-free zone status for Rashi, hence the need to woo investors.
Towards partnering with the national government to be able to serve our needs.
First was an investment meeting with chief executive and directors of the Africa Import-Export Bank, Afrix Bank in Cairo, Egypt.
As we implement also our own strategy in terms of African trade, industrialization, and making sure overall that we as a people use our own resources to develop ourselves.
Governor Zadimma's team also held an investment meeting with Elswidi Electric, one of the leading power firms in the continent. Shortly after the meetings at different points, the parties signed an MOU for the firm to build some key projects in the state.
We are seriously committed to ensuring that these projects are accomplished. And that's why I'm taking it personal. My background, by the way, is I'm a project manager by training. So I understand the nuances of proper engineering and construction. So in me, you will find a good partner. I'm really committed to the project, and I will implement the project in line with global best practice and standards.
Investment, we invest by ourselves. If there is a possibility for investment, we are honored to invest. We have power generation in Egypt, the same in Greece. In the last years, over around 25,000 megawatt, even more. We have also we are very deep, by the way, we are also very deep in education.
It is believed that with a vast commitment by the Shared Prosperity Administration, Imo will soon be a construction site.
Right, so we're back with Group Captain, retired Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu. Group Captain, thank you so much for staying with us. I want us to expand this conversation by talking about the kind of weapons these militias move around with. I was talking about the proliferation of light weapons and illicit arms trafficking in Nigeria, because this continues to pose a major threat to peace, security, and development in this country. How do we address this problem? Group Captain, did you get that?
Hello?
Did you get my question?
It's clear. I don't know whether it is from your side. I was hearing the other person, but I'm not hearing you now clearly.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Right, so I want us to talk about the kind of weapons these militias move around with. How do we deal with proliferation of light weapons in this country?
Hello?
Group Captain, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now clearly.
All right, so I want us to talk about the kind of weapons these militias move around with. Because this brings to the fore the proliferation of light weapons and illicit arms trafficking in Nigeria. How do we address this problem?
Sorry, Madam, honestly, you are going off. Your voice is going low. We started high, but I'm not hearing you now.
Group Captain, let's talk about the kind of weapons these militias move around with. How do we address this problem?
The kind of weapons that
these militias move around with. How do we deal with this problem?
Okay. Unfortunately, we have many routes through which the proliferation of weapons is happening in Nigeria, not only in Nigeria, Delta and other parts of the country. And as long as we don't have control over these weapons, we'll continue to have groups that they think they can challenge the government's legitimacy for the use of force. How do they come in? Through smuggling, through even official custom routes. We've had the customs sometimes they have been lucky to arrest such kind of routes. But also, we have a lot of local manufacturers of weapons. But that, apart from that, we also have pilferage from official armories, either of the police or the military. So all these are routes through which, illegal persons get to have weapons in their hands. And it is these weapons that embolden them, probably with few drugs that they think they can take on the, federal security forces.
But we have the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons domiciled in the office of the NSA. What do you think that center is not doing that it should be doing?
Didn't hear you again?
Did you get that?
I didn't hear you.
Right. So I said we have the National Center. You know, we have the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, which is domiciled in the office of the NSA. What do you think the center is not doing that it should be doing?
Well, I have been following the progress because, again, myself, I'm an expert on small arms and light weapons. I've been following the slow progress of that center. Why do I say slow? Nigeria was very slow, first of all, in even establishing such a center, which was a requirement that was set for all ECOWAS countries many years back. But when we set the center, this is my personal opinion, we made the mistake again of going to put the center under the ONSA. That's under the Office of the National Security Advisor. This is not what obtains in many countries. For this center to be very effective, it needs to be given some autonomy so that they can move into the field and move up weapons. But now as it is, putting it under the Office of the National Security Advisor, it, robs it of its of the force that it would have had. So my own personal opinion and recommendation is that we should move that center from the Office of the National Security Advisor and have it as an independent body as obtains in other countries. What does that do? It gives it more power. It gives more autonomy. It gives it also more, energy to interact with such centers that are around all the country, because the smuggling of small arms and light weapons is an international thing. And one of the requirements under international conventions is that countries should set up independent bodies to deal with this matter. Nigeria has not done that.
We still have a lot to talk about, but sadly we're out of time. One very important question before I let you go. Sheikh Gumi has again demanded that we negotiate with bandits, arguing that we cannot defeat them militarily. Do you agree that we have no choice but to negotiate with bandits?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you agree that we have no choice than to negotiate with bandits? Because Sheikh Gumi has again demanded that we negotiate with them.
You are talking of the United States offer to assist us?
No, Group Captain, I'm talking about Sheikh Gumi, who has again demanded that we negotiate with bandits. So I'm asking, do you agree that we do not have...
Okay, thank you very much. I get your question now. Let me talk generally on negotiation. You know, when a kidnapper has already gotten hostages in his hand, it is not right to say that you are not going to have any form of negotiation. But when people talk about negotiation, they make the mistake of thinking negotiation means giving in to whatever demands that the kidnapper does. So that is not the meaning. Negotiation even gives you time to plan. It gives you to know the insight, how is the group or how is the person thinking. So without saying I support that the person who volunteers to be the negotiator, that is Shegumi, be given the right, but I do not, from my knowledge of hostage and kidnapping, to say that you are not going to have negotiation at all when you already have hostages, again, is a wrong decision. Who is going to be the negotiator now is a different case. Again, negotiation is not an all-comers affair. There are specific training, there are specific skills that somebody needs to be an effective negotiation. So I just wanted to abuse people's mind. Negotiation does not mean automatically you are agreeing. The person already has some valuable things that are with you. So it doesn't make sense to say you are not going to negotiate. And negotiating does not automatically mean you are accepting all that the person. You hear him. Sometimes for negotiation, there are negotiations skillfully completed that leads even to the person releasing the hostages without any money, without any shot being fired. So negotiation is not something that can be ruled out. Who is going to do negotiation now is up to the government to find out. And unfortunately, to my own knowledge, we do not have even trained negotiators in Nigeria. Now that this kidnapping is becoming too rampant, unfortunately, I think we have to start thinking of getting negotiation. We have to start thinking of getting hostage rescue teams, well-trained, specialized with specialized equipment, so that they can intervene in this case. These are areas that we lack. That is why we're even thinking of maybe going for international assistance.
All right. Thank you so much for your perspective tonight. I've been speaking with retired Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu as we focus on the brutal killing of the 16 Nigerian military men killed by youths in Delta State. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Group Captain.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.